Welcome to this IT management series on endpoint control. By way of introduction, I'm Bill Keyworth, Vice President and Principal Analyst at ptak-noel-associates. And with me today is David-Roudebush, Executive Vice President of promisec. In this first of 4 segments, we're going to be talking about the essentials of agents in managing and securing a Windows environment. Welcome, Dave, and thank you for participating in our interview and sharing your perspective about some of the endpoint issues associated with managing and securing the IT infrastructure. Dave, I understand that you normally start a discussion with a potential customer by talking about a big problem in managing endpoints that you actually call it the elephant on the table that nobody really wants to talk about. Can you describe that problem?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. I think the elephant we oftentimes refer to is the fact that as powerful, as incredible as the Microsoft OS is, the downside, the double-edged sword of that is, in order for that product to be so effective and so flexible, it has some fragile nature to it. Things are susceptible to change. And those are the things that people don't oftentimes want to talk about. We address the symptoms. Something's broken, something's not working, something's been altered. But rarely do people want to talk about the root cause.
What's the reaction? What's the typical reaction of your audience when you describe the problem like that?
Well, when I say that, everyone kind of smiles because we all know there's an issue. They're waiting for the punchline. What is the root cause? What is the issue people are afraid to talk about? And it can be broken down in 3 simple things. I refer to them as the Achilles heel of the Microsoft OS. Again, as powerful as it is, it's fragile. Most of the changes take place are by accident. On occasion, it's by intent. And those changes typically take place in 3 very simple areas. Something has somehow disrupted, altered, affected processes, services, and reg keys.
Acknowledging how often these registry keys, processes, and services are out of sync, they're not up to date. What impact does this have on the applications that they're running?
And an example of is antivirus. Very, very common for us to find anywhere from 5% as high as 20% of antivirus is not working the way you believe. And as a customer, it's very frustrating because you buy a tier 1 application, you have great policies, you put this in place, and you expect it to be working. You go to your administrators and they say, yeah, I'm looking at my management console, everything's working perfectly. But when you go in and look deeper, you find out that the products aren't always working properly because somebody, most of the time by accident, has done something. They've installed an application, they've made a change, and they don't realize by doing this one change, it has a cause and effect. It may impact or disrupt something else on that OS. And that's really the root cause of what the challenges are. How do I find those and monitor them and stabilize them? And in doing so, we make products work better.
Okay, Dave, you talked about these things happening most of the time by accident. They could be intentional, they could be done by ignorance. But explain how these things break.
I see something pop up on my window, say I should upgrade to the next version. I just simply say yes. In doing so, because there's such a high dependencies on these processes and service reg keys working consistently for all products, one cause affects another product. And while I upgraded this version, I didn't know that it accidentally stopped a service or a process, or it altered a reg key.
I think there's certain types of applications that are more susceptible to breakdowns in these registry keys, processes, and services. What are some examples of those applications that are most impacted?
Well, the most common things we find out there and tend to be around agent-based technology. Critical things we're very familiar with, things like your antivirus, your patch management tools, your encryption tools, really critical cornerstones of the security and operations of how you effectively run Windows. Those have a high dependency of not just processes, services, and reg keys working consistently on the endpoint, but being able to constantly communicate back to the server. And when something as simple as the path on a registry key to say what server should I be getting my updates, when that gets altered, or when a service gets stopped, as powerful as that technology is, it doesn't provide the security that you're expecting. It doesn't provide the operational effectiveness that you're depending on. And that's really the key, is how do you find those problems? How do you isolate them? How do you document them? And how do you correct them proactively versus reactively?
What's in the operating system or applications that are almost guaranteed that these kind of issues will continually surface as they have in the past?
Kind of the core of Microsoft. Again, going back to an earlier question, the flexibility of Microsoft is the fact that it has to be so portable to so many different tools, because every company has a different business they're supporting, and they need to leverage technology to effectively support their growth, how quickly they can communicate and support their customers. It's that flexibility that's kind of the Achilles heel. It's that flexibility that requires the operating system to allow so many things to take place on it. And again, it's that interdependency of process services and reg keys that isn't going to go away. It's not going away when you're managing a desktop, a laptop, or server, and it's not going to go away when you're supporting the cloud with Windows-based servers.
Dave, tell us what's unique about the promisec solution in solving these problems, in getting rid of the elephant on the table.
Sure. First of all, I think the number one point is we're focusing on the core issue. And the core issue is how do we effectively and efficiently measure what matters, monitor for change, and allow you the most cost-effective way to deal with it when things go wrong. The key is that we're focusing on avoiding the things that everybody is so dependent on, which is that adding processes and services and reg keys. The second thing we do different from anybody in the world, which makes us quite unique and quite powerful, is we're not leveraging WMI. Because WMI, anybody in the Windows world knows, has some unique challenges just to keep that stable. So that's the first thing, agentless non-WMI. Secondly is the accuracy and speed and efficiency in which we can go out there across the enterprise and find what you're interested, monitor it for change, and then give you the exact data that's required to take action. So what we're looking at doing is finding exactly what's wrong, make it actionable. Not the fact that your antivirus is down, but what specifically is wrong. What exactly is configured wrong or been altered, and allow that technician to have exactly what they need to correct it. What's become really, really popular today, and I think we're the only ones talking about, is self-healing. How do I take the tools you have, find out what's wrong, and teach it how to fix itself without labor? And the benefit to that is you keep a stable environment, you keep systems up all the time versus most of the time.
Dave, thank you for your insights today. They're much appreciated, and I think will be beneficial to any IT manager that's dealing with these kind of endpoint issues.